Hey, what's up everyone? I am so hyped for today's video because we're going to be talking about microphones. Doesn't my microphone sound awesome? Isn't this the best thing you've ever heard? Yeah, no one wants to hear that, and no one is going to stick around on your video if you have the bad audio. So let's fix that. Hey, what's up? I'm Josh, and welcome to Techno Josh, where I break down creator gear, give you live streaming tips, tutorials. Basically, if it helps you make better content, then I'm diving into it. Today, I'm going to walk you through microphone setup and how to add filters, so that by the end of this video, your mic is going to sound crisp and clean. Before we begin, just to let you know, for this tutorial, I'm going to be using the Wave 3 mic from Elgato, and this is a USB condenser mic. But whether you're using a condenser microphone or a dynamic microphone, the sets we're about to go through will apply to almost any microphone setup. All right, let's get to the tech. For our first part of microphone setup, let's talk real quick about mic placement. When you're speaking into your mic, you want about 5 to 6 inches between your mouth and the microphone, or about a fist length away. Now, you may have to have your mic a little bit closer if you're using a dynamic mic. If possible, mount your microphone on a boom arm or a low profile mic arm. Keeping your microphone off of your desk helps isolate it from vibrations, so that accidental bumps or desk movement won't transfer directly into your mic and ruin your audio. For the angle of your mic, you want your microphone slightly off axis to reduce harsh plosives. If you're using a dynamic mic, keep it mostly in front of you or just slightly angled rather than pointed straight on. Optionally, you may also want to add a pop filter or a foam windscreen to your microphone to smooth out speech and reduce plosives. By positioning your microphone correctly, you are already giving it an improvement. Now, let's get to our setup and start making some magic mic.
What?
I mean, some mic magic. For our microphone setup and adding filters, we're going to be using OBS. Why OBS? Because no matter what mic you're using, USB, XLR, dynamic, condenser, OBS gives you the same tools, the same base filters, and the same control. So let's get to our setup. All right, so I have the OBS open, and I'm going to go ahead and click our plus button and add a audio input capture. And I'm going to call my input mic. And from the device list, I'm going to choose Mic In Elgato Wave 3, but of course you would choose whichever microphone that you're using, and click OK. Once you've added your microphone, you should immediately see the audio meter reacting down the audio mixer to your voice. You want your voice hitting around -10 to -12 decibels. In other words, all the way into the yellow, but not so much into the red that you're clipping. You don't want to be constantly slanting into the red zone, unless if you're playing football. I think. I don't watch a lot of sports, okay? All right, once we have our levels where we want them, we're going to add our effects. So we're going to go ahead and right-click on our microphone and choose filters. This is what will turn a okay microphone into a great one. I personally use VSTs for my filters from places like Elgato Marketplace or Reaper, but OBS already comes with some great filters to get you started. I recommend applying the filters in the order that I'm about to go through. I'll briefly explain what each of these filters does as we go along. With a noise suppression filter, it's going to cut out all of that background noise in your setup. So the fans running on your PC, the hum from your air conditioning, and just all of that environmental noise. We're going to click our plus button and go to noise suppression. Now we have 2 methods that will be given. We'll either have RN noise or speaks. And this is dependent on your CPU. So depending on the processor that you have in your PC, you'll choose accordingly. For me, I'm going to choose our noise, and that is going to cut out all the background noise around my setup. So no PC fan, no dogs barking, no more of my neighbor who's mowing his lawn while I'm trying to record a video. It's all canceled out. With a noise gate filter, think of it like this. It's a rapid on and off switch. We're controlling what level of audio comes into our mic and what level of audio doesn't. We're going to set these parameters in this noise gate filter. So we're going to go ahead and add our noise gate. And these are the parameters I was talking about previously. So our close threshold and our open threshold. For our close threshold from my voice in particular, I like to set this at about negative 45 decibels. This means that anything at or below negative 45 is not going to be captured into my microphone. And my open threshold, where I want the audio to start being captured, is going to set it at negative 38 decibels. Now, these are just my parameters based upon my voice. You may have to adjust these depending on your own voice. And we're going to leave our attack, hold, and release time at their defaults. So it's literally a gate. We're controlling what comes in and what doesn't. Now that we have our noise under control and we've set our noise gate, let's get on to equalization, or EQ. This is where we're going to get to fine-tune our voice. To keep things simple, we're going to use the built-in EQ that OBS has. All right, so we're going to go ahead and add our 3-band equalizer. And you'll notice we have 3 sliders, our highs, our mids, and our lows. So let's go through these briefly of what we'll be adjusting. So let's start with our low band. This band controls the low or the bass of our voice, which will add overall warmth. As the saying goes, say it with your chest. All right, I usually like a little bit more bass in my voice, so I'm going to add about 4 decibels. Now on to our mid. Think of mids like the central station of your voice. This is where speech is understood and intelligible. In other words, this is where we tune our voice for more clarity. After all, we do want to be understood, right? So for mids, I'm going to set that actually a little bit negative here, just so that it's not overly emphasizing. So negative 2. Yeah, negative 2 should do it. Last but not least, our high band. This is where we will polish our voice and give it that extra shine, if you will. This mainly affects our sibilants. Our sibilants, you know, the t's sounds. This is going to cut down on the harshness of those sounds. And so to cut down the harshness of those sounds, we're going to raise this up to, the sweet spot for me has been 3 decibels. Now, if you're not too sure where to set these different bands, as an alternative, you can use ChatGPT to get these settings. If you take an unfiltered recording of your voice and upload it to GPT, and in the prompt, type something like, give me the ideal EQ for my voice, I'm using the 3-band EQ filter inside of OBS. ChatGPT will then process that audio and give you the optimal settings for your EQ. And in my opinion, the times that I've tried this, I've gotten pretty good results. Now that we have fine-tuned our instrument, that is our voice, let's move on to adding our nets filter. A compressor is basically auto-tuning your volume for smoothness. It lowers the loud sounds and heightens the quiet sounds. So that when I talk really loud and when I talk really quiet, it all evens out to be the same volume. Here are the settings that I recommend to get you started, and you may want to adjust these accordingly. With that in our compressor, I'm going to set our ratio to a 3:1. And the sliders can be a little finicky sometimes, so sometimes I just like to type it in. And this is going to give clarity without our volume feeling squashed at times. So for our threshold, we're going to set this to negative 12 dB because this is where our normal speaking range is at. And this tells our compressor kind of when to kick into action. Our attack time will keep the same. And I want to set our release time to 100 milliseconds. I want to bring our overall gain, I would say, up to about 2 decibels. There's a finickiness I talked about. 2 decibels. All right, we shaped our tone with our EQ, and now we shaped our presence with our compressor. We want to get the presentation of being right in front of our audience as opposed to sounding far away. Now onto our last filter, and that is our limiter. And this essentially protects our audience's ears and from our audio clipping. So any gain ranges while you're playing Fortnite will be contained and won't cause anyone to go deaf. All right, so adding our last filter, which is our limiter. For this, I would suggest keeping it at the default or moving it slightly over to -5, -4 decibels. But we're going to leave that our default, which is -6 decibels. And the release time, we will keep at its default. This is usually a good output for your overall speaking while you're recording or you're live streaming. With these settings, you'll go from a basic sounding microphone to a polished sounding presence. Once you have these filters applied, I would suggest doing some test recordings where you're speaking normally, then loudly, then quietly, typing on your keyboard, clicking on your mouse, and seeing how it all sounds when you listen back to it. If your noise gate is cutting a bit too aggressively, lower that threshold. If the compressor feels off, lower the makeup gain. Small tweaks go a long way, and remember, your voice won't sound like mine or others because everyone's voice is different.
In this wonderful world, you are special.
These settings are great starting points, and I would encourage you to keep tweaking these settings and experiment with some VSTs or other effects to get the results that you're looking for your own voice. If you found value in this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so that you're notified every time I upload a new video. Until next time, stay creative, stay curious, and stay in the tech know.